Hello indie game fans, due to the trifecta of the Steam Spring Sale, PAX East and the Game Developers Conference this week, understandably so, there are a smaller than usual number of new releases, but hidden gems abound, beginning with Pesticide Not Required, a Vampire Survivor style bullet heaven roguelite, but with a twist, since it is one step above the action in other games of this genre, since it introduces a farming aspect. You also play as a frog, so that's a plus, who just gobbles up all the oncoming bugs, with the free prologue demo version of this being well received, so I think that's definitely something of interest here. A game that looks super weird is KinnikuNeko Super Muscle Cat, a side-scrolling action platformer in which a blue cat with the body of a bodybuilder has to venture forth to battle an invading alien force, but you're also able to switch back into the more nimble cat form for more platforming-oriented sections. This game has been in development for quite a while, with the gimmick of course being the sheer weirdness and insanity of it all. It is very Japanese in how outrageous it is, but according to LinkedIn, I believe this developer is Spanish, so it's more of a tribute than anything, but the anime looking cutscenes in particular look great, but we'll have to see on the action. This one's for indie game developers. The free indie game marketing resources are ready, so sign up via the link in the description below to get it in your mailbox. You know what's hot right now in roguelites? Gambling adjacent titles like Luck Be a Landlord and Balatro, and while those built off slot machines and poker respectively, Bingle Bingle instead looks to do the same with a roulette wheel. It's a self-styled builder-type game in which you're manipulating the spots on the roulette wheel to gain the new high score, so hopefully the synergies and combos will feel fun, and given how things are going with these types of game, has a good chance of being the hidden gem of the week. I covered AMEDAMA not too long ago since they released a new trailer for its early access release, and it's an atypical kind of game with an interesting premise and setup. It is a self-styled, side-scrolling, soul-shifting action-adventure game combining detective and adventure game mechanics with side-scrolling swordplay combat. Our protagonist ran an umbrella shop together with his sister, but one day, a group of unknown men burst into the shop, slew the hero where he stood and took his sister. However, our hero's soul remained and is now on a quest to locate his sister, but you only have 7 days left before the soul departs the mortal realm. You can possess other creatures and even animals, using these to your advantage in order to gain access to new areas or to talk to the right people to get the information you need, having that detective or adventure game element to it. There is of course combat, with the different characters that you possess giving you access to different fighting styles and abilities, and with a sandbox structure, should have plenty to explore. If you fail to save your sister within the 7-day time period, however, the developers have indicated that time will just loop back to the start of the 7 days, so it might be relatively low stakes, but might also be the next interesting knowledge-based game like Outer Wilds, which makes this of note. Just a quick one here, since after about 2 years in early access, Midnight Ghost Hunt releases out of it, an asymmetric multiplayer ghost busting experience that seems like Prop Hunt on steroids, releasing in a period where Phasmophobia was at its peak of popularity, and while it has not done that same kind of massive numbers in terms of total sales, and Steam charts indicates just 45 peak concurrent players today, down 99%, from an all-time high of 4,800, so maybe the 1.0 release might breathe new life into this game.
Your connection is weakening, Toy Bear. This moon of waste is no place for robots soft as you. But you found something in the filth, haven't you?
Here's a neat looking pixel art title named Arksync, one that does have its roots in twin-stick shooters, but apparently is a roguelike platformer, even though the developer doesn't explicitly state that it is one, but it could be neat.
With relentless speed, wielding devastating weaponry and advanced utility. Fire from the ashes of death. But is it enough to get you home?
Another 1.0 release of interest is CD2 Trapmaster, in which CD stands for Candy Disaster and is the sequel to a game from 2021, and it's a tower defense game with deck building elements since you're placing down trap cards in order to dispatch off waves of enemies, having the roguelite style of synergies and combos to discover. A pleasant looking life sim title with idle elements is Chill Town, in which you're wandering around this Animal Crossing looking island and has those cozy vibes, and it's so chill that you can even leave the game idle and the character will continue to fish, as an example of the idle support. The first-person simulator title Gas Station Simulator is massively popular and is releasing the Tidal Wave paid DLC set on a new volcanic island and where you're refueling jet skis and boats and looks like an interesting twist. The top 5 begins with Lightyear Frontier, one of the more interesting farming sims since it's a first-person title in which you have access to a mech, and while you can go on foot, it largely appears that being in the mech is the way to go, since you can use this machine to increase your productivity. It takes place on an alien planet at the far edge of the galaxy, so there are alien plants to grow and alien creatures to take care of, and the developer teases a planet full of mysteries to explore and uncover. There's also co-op for up to 4 players, so you can see how this combines Stardew Valley with, say, Satisfactory, and in contrast with mechs in games, which are usually wanton killing machines, to see them being used for a more wholesome purpose is a nice change of pace. In line with that, I don't believe there's any combat in this game, which is interesting since that's one of the most common elements of a video game, but do note that this will be an early access release, with this period planned for at least 1.5 years with more content to be added. It's a decent week for farming/survival crafting titles since we also have the early access release of Terra Tech Worlds, the follow-up to Terra Tech from 2018, which has been tremendously successful, in which the modular building and customization of these vehicles will be a returning mechanic. There seems to be a little bit more structure to this game as compared to the sandbox of the original, in which your vehicles are essentially mining rocks and chopping down trees in a very survival game kind of way. This is also a PvE title as you battle the environment and enemies found on this alien planet, and it looks so much more impressive than the original game as a sequel should be, so let's hope the ideas translate into the gameplay. I previewed this game when looking at upcoming releases of the month, being one of the more unique indie games that stood out, since Raw Metal is firstly a stealth game, which you don't see that many of these days, and secondly, if you do get into combat, it turns into a third-person brawler/beat-em-up, which again is not something that you see every day. Play as a scavenger who is essentially entering a mine run by a corrupt mega corporation and stealing from them, and it appears that our hero is unarmed while his adversaries wield stun batons, pickaxes, tasers and more, and looks like one of the more intriguing prospects of the week.
Stay out.
Love indie games? Sign up to my newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course, weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. Just a quick shout out to the GOAT in Stardew Valley, which is getting its next significant update to version 1.6, and among a large list of additional features, the one that I have my eye on is late game content, which is based on expanded skill areas, which is the primary highlight, and given how huge Stardew Valley is, be prepared to see a whole bunch of content for this game on YouTube. I just talked about upcoming tactics games last week, of which this game featured rather high up on the list, being a long in development remake of a game from 2013, in which Reverse Collapse codenamed Bakery is set during the Second Cold War and tells a tale surrounding the mysterious codename Bakery, which is the silver-haired girl shown in this trailer, with the action looking awesome, so I hope it is great. For that video on tactics games, click here to discover 19 more games.